William Frederick Cody, later known as Buffalo Bill, was born on February 26, 1846, in LeClaire, Iowa. His family's move to Kansas when he was a child placed him at the center of the growing American frontier. The Midwest was a land of opportunity, but also one fraught with danger and hardship. As settlers pushed westward, young Cody grew up in a climate of rapid change and tension between settlers and Native American tribes. His exposure to this rugged life laid the foundation for his future as a legendary frontiersman. Kansas, where his family eventually settled, was at the heart of the struggle over slavery and free territory, a precursor to the Civil War. This political and social unrest shaped Cody's early understanding of the world, making him resilient and resourceful at a very young age. In 1857, when Cody was just 11 years old, tragedy struck his family with the death of his father. Isaac Cody had been an outspoken abolitionist, and his political views in the volatile Kansas territory had made him a target. Isaac was attacked by pro-slavery men, and though he survived the initial assault, his injuries and the stress of the conflict eventually took his life. Following his father's death, young Cody took on the responsibility of providing for his family. He began working various jobs, including as a farmhand, trapper, and even a cattle driver. These early experiences hardened him and honed the skills he would later use as a scout, hunter, and showman. This necessity to grow up quickly and face the dangers of the frontier as a boy shaped Cody's fearless persona. At the age of 14, Cody found work with the Pony Express, a mail delivery service that required riders to travel across the vast and dangerous Western territories. The Pony Express was the fastest method of communication at the time, connecting the East Coast with the frontier regions of the West. However, it was not without its risks, as the riders had to contend with harsh weather, difficult terrain, and attacks from outlaws or hostile Native American tribes. Cody quickly gained a reputation for bravery during his time with the Pony Express. On one occasion, he rode 322 miles in just 21 hours after another rider was killed, an extraordinary feat that contributed to his growing legend. Though the Pony Express lasted only about 18 months, Cody's involvement in it left a lasting mark on his life and contributed to the folklore of the American West. When the American Civil War broke out in 1861, Cody, like many young men, found himself swept up in the conflict. He initially worked as a scout for the Union Army, using his knowledge of the land and frontier skills to assist in military operations. His role as a scout was critical in navigating the vast, unfamiliar territories of the West during military campaigns. After the Civil War ended in 1865, the U.S. government turned its attention to the ongoing conflicts with Native American tribes in the West. Cody's reputation as a skilled scout led him to serve in the Indian Wars, where he played a key role in helping the U.S. Army navigate the challenging terrain and track movements of Native American forces. His abilities as a tracker and his intimate knowledge of the frontier were invaluable to the Army during these campaigns. In 1867, Cody took on a new role with the Kansas Pacific Railroad. The railroad was expanding westward, and with it came a need to feed the laborers working on the tracks. Cody was hired to hunt bison, which were plentiful in the Great Plains. It was during this time that he earned the nickname Buffalo Bill. Cody's skill with a rifle became legendary as he reportedly killed over 4,000 bison in just 18 months. This massive undertaking provided the meat needed to sustain the railroad workers but also contributed to the sharp decline of the bison population, which would later become an environmental concern. His feats as a buffalo hunter, however, made him a national figure and solidified his reputation as a frontiersman. In recognition of his service as a scout during the Indian Wars, Buffalo Bill was awarded the Medal of Honor in 1872. At the time, the Medal of Honor was not limited to military personnel and could be given to civilians who had rendered extraordinary service. Cody's ability to navigate the rugged terrain and his effectiveness in supporting the U.S. Army's campaigns against Native American tribes were considered worthy of this high honor. However, in 1916, the U.S. government revised the criteria for the Medal of Honor, limiting it to military personnel only. As a result, Cody's award, along with those of other civilian recipients, was revoked. Despite this, his contributions were later re-evaluated, and in 1989, Buffalo Bill's Medal of Honor was reinstated posthumously, restoring his legacy as a hero of the American frontier. Perhaps Buffalo Bill's greatest achievement came in 1883 when he created Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. Unlike any other form of entertainment at the time, the Wild West Show brought the drama and excitement of frontier life to audiences across the U.S. and Europe. Cody's show featured live reenactments of famous battles, exhibitions of cowboy skills like roping and riding, and displays of sharpshooting prowess. The Wild West show was more than just a spectacle. It was a way for Cody to shape the narrative of the American West. His show featured real cowboys, Native Americans, and famous figures like Annie Oakley and Sitting Bull, offering audiences a glimpse into the culture of the frontier. Over time, Buffalo Bill's Wild West became one of the most popular attractions of the late 19th century, drawing large crowds wherever it went. Two of the most notable figures in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show were sharpshooter Annie Oakley and Lakota Sioux leader Sitting Bull. Annie Oakley was known for her incredible marksmanship, and her performances in the show captivated audiences. She became a star in her own right and played an important role in breaking down gender barriers by showing that women could excel in traditionally male-dominated fields like shooting and riding. Sitting Bull, on the other hand, was a symbol of Native American resistance to U.S. expansion. His involvement in the show was complex. While he performed in the Wild West show, he also used his platform to raise awareness of the plight of Native Americans. Sitting Bull's presence in Buffalo Bill's show added an air of authenticity and a political dimension to the performances. Despite his earlier role in hunting bison, Cody later became an advocate for conservation. As the bison population neared extinction due to overhunting, Cody recognized the environmental impact of this decline and spoke out in favor of protecting the species. His change in attitude toward bison conservation was one of the most ironic but significant turns in his life. Buffalo Bill also supported women's rights, particularly by giving women like Annie Oakley prominent roles in his show. At a time when women were often excluded from such public displays, Cody's decision to feature female performers helped pave the way for greater recognition of women's talents and abilities. Buffalo Bill passed away on January 10, 1917, in Denver, Colorado, at the age of 70. By the time of his death, he was a national and international icon. His Wild West show had toured extensively, and his influence on popular culture was undeniable. Cody had helped to create the image of the American West that still endures today, with its rugged cowboys, noble Native Americans, and untamed wilderness. Through his life and performances, Buffalo Bill became a larger-than-life figure, and his legacy as one of the key figures in the mythologization of the American